Welcome back, friends, to another Life Lived lesson and into our series 30 Life Anchors from the last 30 years. I'm super excited to unpack and share Life Anchor number 15 today. And this is one that my life has been seasoned and cultivated, and something I've learned throughout the last 30 years that I believe is going to lift your spirit today. So join me for Life Anchor number 15. Which is this, friends: in all seasons of life, God is worthy of worship. Worshiping God leads to a renewed perspective and a lifted heart in any circumstance life brings. There's so much history here, so much experience, and so much life found in the place of praise, friends. The scripture is so clear. Worship is a priority. It's actually found in 141 different verses in the English Standard Version. And I believe the Old and New Testament both are very specific manuals in how to worship in spite of whatever may be going on. And praise is a weapon. Melody is a powerful resource in the midst of pain. I truly do believe that pain is an invitation for praise, and that seems counterintuitive. It seems unnatural, but I've discovered it to be a place of intimacy with God, and an intimacy that is unparalleled when everything is well. It's a matter of obedience and redirecting my focus from my problem to His worthiness and His unchanging character and His love for me and His heart that does not change when all things in life do. I immediately thought of David in the Psalms. David was a man of worship. He was known as a man after God's own heart, and in the problems he faced, he always turned back to praise. He turned back to worship. He would write songs to really navigate and process life. The presence of God wasn't a place to avoid emotion. It was a place to process them. It was a place to work through it with God in relationship as a loving Father who cares and sees and understands the pain this life brings. That's the beauty of Jesus becoming flesh and dwelling among us. He knows what it's like to feel anxious. He knows what it's like to feel afraid. He knows what it's like to feel angry. He knows what it's like to feel sad. We have a God who understands us to the greatest level as He became flesh and dwelled among us and experienced the brokenness of this fallen world, friends. He understands, and He wants to meet us in that place. The place of pain can become a powerful place of praise. And I've discovered this over and over again in the hardest circumstances throughout my life. When I've turned the problem into a time of praise, my heart is lifted. My perspective is renewed every time. And it's a matter of choice. Will I choose to praise when I don't feel like it? Will I choose to worship God and declare who He is in spite of what circumstances I'm facing? It's a powerful shift, friends. It's a place of intimacy, of knowing God in a whole new way. In the book of Habakkuk, in the minor prophet of Habakkuk, this is the way he framed it. The scripture came to mind as I was thinking about worshiping no matter what season life is in. He says this in Habakkuk 3:17 through 18, though the fig tree should not blossom, nor fruit be on the vines, the produce of the olive fail, and the fields yield no food, the flock be cut off from the fold, and there be no herd in the stalls, yet I will rejoice in the Lord. I will take joy in the God of my salvation. Instead of focusing on the problem, I choose to focus and rejoice in the unchanging one who is my salvation. This verse is very, very specifically saying, though the economy fail, this was an agrarian culture, the fig tree, the vine, the olive tree, the fields, the flock, the herds, this culture, this was their economy. The economy is desolate and failing, is what he's saying. Yet I will rejoice in the Lord. I'm going to look to the one who is my provider. I'm going to look to Yahweh Jireh, the Lord, my provider, and I'm going to rejoice in him because he's got me. It's changing the focus from self to the focus on the Father. It's shifting focus from the problem to the one worthy of all praise. It's a shift from self to God. And friends, I've just recently lived this as a very challenging circumstance that was very perplexing, came into my both Honor and I's lives, and we were struggling. We were very upset by the circumstance, and things didn't turn out the way I thought they would, and my heart was sad. I was really struggling. I took a walk, and I turned on a playlist I created in 2020 called Worship in the Fire. I'm going to post that in the comments below. Worship in the Fire, playlist I cultivated at one of the lowest points in my life when everything was taken from me but my health. And I was struggling and the world was going mad. In that season, I created, and I've been adding to this playlist since 2020. So 4 years in the making. I wanted to share it with you because I turned on that playlist and I had worship songs come on as I took that walk, and I started singing them as I took that walk, and my perspective was shifted, my heart was lifted, and I realized, God, you're worthy no matter what. No matter how circumstances go, you are worthy, and I look to you, I trust in you, I worship you, and I love you. And friends, this is the place of total surrender. A place of praise is a place of power. It's a place of total confidence because it's rooted in God and not my circumstances. And it's truly amazing when we use and we choose to allow pain to push us into his presence. There's a place of intimacy, and Paul and Silas knew this well. In Acts 16, they cast out a demon from a girl who is harassing and causing trouble, and they cast out this demon, and then that whole city turns against them. They drag them into court. They're beat with rods, so they're beat to a pulp and then thrown into a prison. They didn't do anything wrong, so it's an unjust situation. Instead of complaining and bemoaning what happened to them, that they were victims, at midnight, it says in Acts 16, it says that they begin to sing hymns to worship and praise. There was a place of worship in their hearts at midnight after a horrible day, after being beaten, unjustly accused, and thrown into prison. They chose to praise. They chose to worship. And it's powerful because as they worshiped, an earthquake came and opened all the dungeons. So the place of prison became a place of freedom through praise. Praise opened the door. It was praise that changed that circumstance. Before the circumstance changed, their hearts were lifted. They found a place of peace and strength in the midst of calamity. And friends, it's a powerful example of what we too are invited to step into. We're invited to step into that place of worship and praise throughout the circumstances that this life brings. We have a choice. Will we choose to worship? Will we choose to praise? Or will we choose to complain and be upset? I know I've struggled. I know I'm not perfect. I'm growing at this, and I want to constantly choose that place of praise and worship in spite of what may be going on. And I do want to clarify, God is not a thief. He does not take from us. He doesn't take loved ones. He doesn't take things. He doesn't take from us. He's not a thief. He's a generous and loving Father who gives. There's one who kills, steals, and destroys. That's Satan. And he hates it when we choose to worship, when he robs us, when he does things in our life to try and harass us, when we choose the posture of praise, it totally reverses his plan. And I've seen this over and over when my daughter Mercy died, and I chose that place of worship in the pain, and I processed those emotions and I looked to God. It changed my whole perspective and lifted my heart, knowing he is the resurrection and the life. He will have the final word. And friends, may you be encouraged. He has the final word, and he is with us, he loves us, and he has the comfort we desperately need. I close with the words of David in an invitation. He says this in Psalm 95, verse 6. Oh, come, let us worship and bow down. Let us kneel before the Lord, our Maker. Friends, today may we worship him, and may we praise his holy name, because he is worthy. No matter what, in all seasons of life, God is worthy of worship. Worshiping God leads to renewed perspective and a lifted heart in any circumstance life brings. Until next time, friends, onwards and upwards with grace and grace.